All right, guys, on these worksheets or this set of worksheets, what you're going to do is just kind of a variety of things. This is a review for what we did on Monday. And I want you to just go through and look at these equations. So similar to what we did, it's just asking you in this first section, is it in standard form or vertex form? So you may have to flip back in your notes and review that. Standard form though, and I apologize again for this pen making a noise, is all right. But standard form looks like this, ax squared plus bx plus c. That's typically the form that we look at when we're going to factor, when we're going to do star method or we're going to do rainbow method. Vertex form is called vertex form because it actually is going to give you the vertex if it's in the correct form. And we call it y equals a x minus h squared plus k. And so this would give me my vertex. So on 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're just going to label that standard form or vertex. On the next section, you're going to identify the vertex. So on number 5, you're looking at those numbers that I underline up at the top. The h and the k were those variables for those numbers. And so I'm looking at -7 and -1. Remember, you're going to change the sign of the first number, and the second number stays the same. So the vertex for that parabola would be 7, 1. All right, and then you're going to omit 13 through 15, and you're going to omit 16. I want you to look at 17. On 17, I want you to do what you can. Now, I don't mind if you put this in the calculator to see what it looks like. In fact, I would like for you to do that at some point. But remember, some of these things we can get just by looking at it. So if I look at the vertex, those are the two numbers that are in the parentheses and right outside the parentheses. So my vertex would be 3, 2. Remember that you're going to change that sign of that number that's in the parentheses. And so go over to your graph, and at 3, 2, you're going to put your first point. That is either the highest or lowest part of this graph. Now, I know that this graph, I'm going to skip axis of symmetry. I know that this graph is going to open up because right in front of that parentheses, there's an understood +1. And if it's positive, our graph would open up. I also know where the axis of symmetry is. That's that vertical line that cuts our graph in half, and it will always be equal to the x value in your vertex. So x equals 3. So you're going to go to your vertex, and you're going to draw a vertical line down through that ordered pair, or through that coordinate. All right, does this have a max or a minimum? I'm not really concerned about that for you because I mean, it technically has a minimum, but if you know the graph opens up, that's going to take care of that problem. Same thing here. The y value, the y-intercept is a little bit different. We would plug in 0 for x. Sometimes it will be the same as this here, and I'm not going to go and get into the why or when or whatever. So at this point, what I would do is I would open up your graph, and I would type in what you've got. So get out of that. And so I don't usually do the y equals. I would just start with the parentheses, x minus 3 squared plus 2. Now you do end up seeing that in this case, your y-intercept is 11. And so I'm glad that we didn't look at that last number. And again, typically it's not. But my y-intercept is 11. Let me double check and make sure I typed that in correctly. And so 11 would be right up here where it would touch the y-axis. And then I could just look at my graph and get any other points that might help me on that graph. It looks like there may be a point somewhere right in there, almost. Let me just change this to a table if I can. I see a point at 0, 11, which we already have, 1, 6, 2, 3. So if I go to 1, 6, I have another point. This cool thing about the axis of symmetry is it divides it straight in half. So if I have a point 2 to the left of that line, I have a point 2 to the right. Whatever points you want to use at that point, but what I'd like for it to see as you're doing this is I'd like to see that you have the vertex labeled, the axis of symmetry labeled, whether it opens up or down, and then you can use the calculator to help you graph the rest. So if you'll do 17, if you will do 18, and if you will do 19 as well.